The greatest mistake an enemy can make is thinking the fire is out, when in reality, it was only gathering strength to burn everything they built. They thought you were finished. They looked at your setbacks and smirked, convinced you would never rise again. They spoke your name with mockery, turned their backs with arrogance, and whispered behind closed doors, thinking they had won. But what they didn't realize is that you were never truly down. You were just waiting for the right moment, waiting for the shift, waiting for the power that was already inside you to fully awaken. And now, they're about to see exactly why underestimating you was the worst mistake of their lives. Before we go deeper, like this video, hit subscribe and drop 88 in the comments if you're ready to step into your power. Every time you engage, you send a signal, not just to YouTube, but to the entire system, that the chosen ones are rising. They don't want this message spreading. They don't want others waking up. But the more you react, the more unstoppable this force becomes. And trust me, they feel it. They can sense it before they even see you. It's in the way the air shifts when you walk in, the way their voices drop when your name is mentioned, the way they scramble to discredit you before you even speak. Because deep down, they know the truth. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to be one of them. You move differently, think differently, stand taller, even in silence. And that haunts them more than anything else, because your very existence is proof that they were wrong. Wrong about you, wrong about what's possible, wrong to believe that their petty schemes, their fake alliances, their desperate attempts to keep you small could ever stop someone like you. They thought they could erase you with their words, weaken you with their doubts, keep you trapped in the prison of their expectations. But what they failed to understand is that being chosen is not something that fades. It does not bow, does not break, does not shrink just because small minds cannot handle its presence. You were built in the dark, forged through fire, sharpened by every attempt they made to tear you apart. Every betrayal only made you wiser. Every loss only made you hungrier. Every obstacle they placed in your way became the very thing that made you unstoppable. And now they feel the shift. The ones who laughed the loudest are suddenly quiet. The ones who dismissed you now watch your every move, pretending they don't care while obsessing over what you'll do next. The same people who tried to hold you back now whisper about your name like it's a storm approaching, one they have no way to stop. That's the power of being chosen. It terrifies them, not just because they see you rising, but because deep down, they always knew this was coming. They knew there was something different about you, something they could never control, never contain, never predict. And no matter how hard they tried, they could never kill it. You've always been the wildfire that refuses to be tamed, the force they couldn't fully understand. And now, it's too late for them to prepare, too late for them to undo their mistakes, too late for them to escape the consequences of doubting you. Because now, you're here, and now it's time to show them exactly who you are. Number 1, they thought you were finished. Now they run in fear. A fool celebrates too early, mistaking a resting lion for a dead one, until the roar shakes the ground beneath them. They were so sure of themselves, so convinced that they had crushed you, buried you, made you irrelevant. They laughed at your struggles, mocked your setbacks, whispered about your failures like they were writing your final chapter. But they made a mistake, a fatal one. They mistook your silence for surrender. They mistook your patience for weakness. They thought the battle was over when, in reality, you were only sharpening your sword. And now, they feel it. the shift, the pressure, the weight of what they set in motion. Because while they were laughing, you were rebuilding. While they were celebrating, you were plotting. And while they were sleeping on you, you were becoming something they have no defense against. Look at history. How many times have they counted the great ones out, only to be forced to watch them rise again? They said Michael Jordan wasn't good enough, until he became the greatest of all time. They told Oprah she wasn't fit for television, until she built an empire. They mocked Muhammad Ali, tried to silence Malcolm X, called Elon Musk insane. Every single one of them was doubted, dismissed, rejected. And yet, what happened? The world didn't remember their doubters. The world remembered them. And the same will be true for you. Your enemies thought they had the power to define you. They thought their words, their betrayal, their silence could break you. But all they did was hand you the fuel you needed to become unstoppable. Every lie they told about you only sharpened your truth. Every attempt to pull you down only strengthened your wings. Every moment they spent underestimating you was a moment you spent turning into something they could never control. And now, they run in fear. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way their energy shifts when you walk into the room. The way they avoid eye contact, suddenly quiet, suddenly unsure. The ones who once spoke so boldly now fumble their words. The ones who once dismissed you now monitor your every move. Why? Because deep down, they know. They know they were wrong. They know they called the game too early. They know the very person they tried to erase is now the one they can't escape. But let me ask you something. What are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to let their fear hold you back? Are you going to waste energy proving yourself to people who have already lost? Or are you going to step fully into your power, knowing that nothing they do can stop what's coming? Because the truth is, you don't need revenge. You don't need explanations. You don't need to waste a single breath on them. Your existence is already their punishment. Your success is already their consequence, and every step you take forward is a reminder that they failed to break you. Think about it. If you were truly finished, why are they still watching? If you were truly irrelevant, why do they still whisper your name? If you were truly nothing, why are they still obsessing over your every move? Because they know the truth. They know they bet against the wrong person. They know they spent all their time trying to destroy you, only to realize too late that they built their own destruction instead. Let them run. Let them panic. Let them wonder how they lost control. But you don't chase. You don't explain. You don't justify. You rise. You walk forward without hesitation, without fear, without mercy. Because this is your moment, this is your time, and the ones who doubted you, they're nothing more than the background noise to a story they no longer have a role in. They thought you were finished. Now they have to watch you become something they never imagined. Number 2, when you move in silence, your enemies choke in fear. A predator's greatest weakness is arrogance, thinking they control the hunt, only to realize too late that they were the ones being watched. They were waiting, watching, studying your every move like they had you all figured out. They thought they had control. They believed they could predict you, manipulate you, anticipate your next step before you even took it. But then, something changed. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped reacting. You stopped feeding them information. You vanished into the shadows. And now they're choking on their own paranoia, suffocating under the weight of their own expectations. Because the one thing they fear more than your power is not knowing when and where you'll strike. Silence is a weapon. The greatest warriors don't announce their next attack. They move with precision, with discipline, with a level of patience that sends fear crawling up the spines of those who underestimated them. Look at the most powerful forces in history. Empires didn't crumble because they were loud. They fell because their enemies moved in silence, striking with such force that by the time they realized what was happening, it was already too late. And that's exactly where you are right now. They thought they had you figured out. They mistook your quiet for weakness. They assumed you weren't doing anything just because they couldn't see it. But what they failed to understand is that the most dangerous moves are the ones made in the dark. A snake that doesn't rattle before it strikes is the one that delivers the deadliest bite. Think about it. Why do they need to know what you're doing? Why do they keep asking, keep prying, keep digging for information? Because they're scared. The moment you stopped explaining yourself, they lost control. They relied on your emotions, your reactions, your need to prove yourself. But now they have nothing to hold on to. Their plans are useless. Their strategies are failing. And every day that you remain silent, every moment that they don't know what you're thinking, their fear grows. Look at the greats. Michael Jordan didn't tell the world when he was about to dominate. He just walked onto the court and made history. Jay-Z didn't beg for a record deal. He moved in silence, built his empire, and made the industry come to him. Even Tesla, mocked and ignored in his time, worked in the shadows until his name became immortal. The loudest people in the room are rarely the most powerful. True power is quiet, calculated, untouchable. And now your enemies are feeling that power. They're restless, anxious, whispering to each other, trying to figure out what's coming next. They can't sleep because the silence is too loud. They used to track your every step, but now the path is invisible. And that terrifies them, because how do you fight an enemy you can't see? How do you stop someone when you don't even know which direction they're moving? You don't. You just wait. You wait, and you panic. And that's exactly what they're doing. But let me ask you this. Are you going to break that silence for them? Are you going to let their desperation drag you back into old habits, where they could manipulate you with their words, their fake concern, their calculated chaos? Or are you going to keep moving in silence, knowing that every quiet step you take is a step closer to their downfall? Because the truth is, you owe them nothing. You owe them no explanations, no justifications, no previews of your next move. They lost that privilege the moment they thought they could control you. Let them choke. Let them drive themselves insane trying to guess what you're doing. Let them sit in the same uncertainty they tried to trap you in. This is your game now. You hold the cards. You dictate the pace. And they're nothing but confused spectators, waiting for a storm they know is coming, but have no way to prepare for. So stay silent, stay focused, and when the time comes, strike so hard they never recover. Number 3, they wanted you broken, now they're breaking. They thought they were building your coffin. Turns out they were digging their own grave. They tried everything, the lies, the betrayal, the sabotage. They whispered in the dark, hoping their words would shatter you. They set traps, waiting for the moment you would fall so they could laugh at your downfall. But what happened? Did you crumble? Did you beg? Did you break under the weight of their hatred? No. You took every stone they threw and built something indestructible. And now, they're the ones falling apart. They thought they could break you, thought they could keep you down, thought they could control your destiny. But they never realized one thing. The pressure they put on you didn't crush you. It transformed you. Every time they tried to weaken you, they only made you stronger. Every door they slammed in your face forced you to carve your own path. Every betrayal, every moment of pain, every time they tried to tear you down, they were unknowingly making you unstoppable. And now, look at them. Look at the ones who plotted against you, the ones who smiled in your face but schemed behind your back, the ones who thought they had won. They don't look so confident anymore, do they? Their voices aren't as loud. Their games aren't as clever. That's because the weight of their own deception is finally crashing down on them. They thought they were in control, but they were never prepared for what happens when the chosen one refuses to break. Think about history. How many times have the greats been attacked, ridiculed and underestimated, only to rise above it all? They tried to erase Nelson Mandela, locking him away for decades, thinking that would be the end of him. But when he emerged, he was more powerful than ever. They mocked and rejected J.K. Rowling, saying she was a failure, until she created the most successful book series in history. Steve Jobs was thrown out of his own company, labeled a failure, left for dead in the business world, until he came back and changed technology forever. Every single one of them was meant to break, but instead they became legends. And just like them, you are proving that nothing they do can destroy you. But here's the real twist. The more they tried to ruin you, the more they ruined themselves. That's the thing about weak people. They don't build, they don't create, they don't know how to stand in their own power, so they try to take power from others. But what they didn't realize is that every ounce of energy they spent trying to destroy you was energy they were stealing from their own future. And now they have nothing left. Have you noticed it? The way their own plans are backfiring, the way their relationships are crumbling, their confidence is fading, their lies are catching up to them. That's not a coincidence. That's what happens when people move against something greater than themselves. They thought they could fight destiny. They thought they could rewrite a path that was never theirs to control. And now they're drowning in the consequences of their own choices. Let them break. Let them sit in the wreckage of their own deception. You don't need to lift a finger. You don't need revenge. You don't need to waste energy on them. Because the best punishment is watching them destroy themselves while you keep rising higher. They thought they were breaking you, but instead, they just gave you everything you needed to win, and now they have to live with that. Number 4, a caged lion doesn't forget. It remembers and strikes. A lion locked in a cage does not become tame, it becomes patient. And when the door finally opens, it does not walk out, it devours. They thought they had you under control, thought they had you cornered, silenced, powerless. They built walls around you, not realizing that a cage does not weaken a lion, it only fuels its hunger. They mistook your stillness for submission, your silence for obedience. But what they failed to understand is that every second you spent locked away, you weren't fading. You were remembering. You were waiting. You were sharpening your claws, preparing for the moment when the gate would finally swing open. And now they have to face what they tried so hard to contain. They convinced themselves they had won, that by keeping you in chains, they had eliminated the threat. But history has already shown them what happens when a force of nature is held back for too long. They thought Malcolm X would stay quiet. They thought Nelson Mandela would disappear in prison. They thought Muhammad Ali's voice could be stripped away. And every single time, they were wrong. Because when a lion is caged, it does not lose its nature. It only waits for the right moment to reclaim its throne. And here's what they never saw coming. You didn't just break free. You didn't just survive. You emerged stronger, sharper, unforgiving. Every moment they spent thinking they had control was a moment you spent growing beyond them. They built their illusion, convinced themselves that they had power over you, but now, they are the ones trembling. Because the second they lost control of the cage, they lost everything. You feel it, don't you? The way their energy shifts when they see you now. The ones who used to speak so confidently about your limits, the ones who dismissed you as nothing more than an afterthought, why are they suddenly so quiet? Why do they avoid your eyes? Why do they scramble for explanations, for justifications, for ways to rewrite history? Because they realize they were never in control. They were only delaying the inevitable. And let's be clear, this is not about revenge. This is not about sinking to their level, about playing their small-minded games. A lion does not waste time explaining itself to sheep. This is about truth, about power, about the realization that no matter how hard they tried, no matter how many obstacles they placed in your way, you were always going to rise. Because the thing about a caged lion is this: it never forgets. It never forgets who locked the door. It never forgets the voices that mocked it from the outside. It never forgets the faces of those who thought they were safe, because the bars stood between them and the reckoning they feared. And when the moment comes, when the gate finally swings open, the lion does not simply walk away. It takes everything. So let them tremble. Let them feel the weight of what they tried to suppress. They wanted to believe they were the kings, that they had the power, that they could decide your fate. But now they see the truth. They are not rulers. They are not leaders. They are not powerful. They are nothing but prey. And you were never meant to be locked away. You were never meant to live under their rules, to be controlled by their limitations. You were meant to rule, meant to walk with confidence, with purpose, with the undeniable force of someone who was never supposed to be caged in the first place. And now they will never forget the day they saw the gate swing open, the day they realized they had spent too long celebrating a false victory, the day they finally understood that the lion they tried to tame was never theirs to control. They built the illusion. You shattered it. They thought you were gone. But now they must face the truth. You are the king, and they are nothing but prey. Number 5. Your success is their worst nightmare. Nothing haunts a weak enemy more than the success of the one they tried to destroy. They wanted you gone. They wanted you struggling, doubting, second-guessing every step. They wanted to see you stuck, begging for approval, desperate for a seat at their table. But instead, you walked away, built your own empire, and left them choking on their own irrelevance. And now they can't sleep, because every move you make is a reminder that they failed. They told themselves you needed them, that without their validation, without their permission, you would be nothing. They convinced themselves that you wouldn't survive on your own, that you would come crawling back, hands outstretched, waiting for them to acknowledge you. But what happened? You moved in silence. You stopped explaining. You stopped justifying. You stopped looking for approval from people who were never meant to have a say in your destiny. And now they are obsessed. Look around. Watch how they move. The ones who once ignored you now watch your every step. The ones who dismissed your dreams now analyze your success, picking apart every detail, trying to figure out where they went wrong. They claim they don't care, but they track your progress like their life depends on it. Why? Because deep down, they know they were wrong. They know they bet against the wrong person. They know they should have never doubted you. And that's what keeps them awake at night. Because your success, it's a mirror, a reflection of everything they could have been if they weren't so consumed by jealousy, by insecurity, by the need to control. Your rise is a reminder of every risk they were too afraid to take, every move they hesitated on, every opportunity they let slip through their fingers while they were busy watching you. They hate you, not because you did anything to them, but because your existence forces them to face their own failures. It's the same story, over and over again. They laughed at Tesla until he changed the world. They mocked Kanye until he became one of the biggest names in music and business. They tried to erase Serena Williams, hoping she would fade away, but instead, she dominated the game so completely that they had no choice but to respect her. Every legend, every icon, every true force of nature was once doubted, ridiculed, underestimated. But in the end, the ones who doubted them, they became nothing more than footnotes in their stories. And that's exactly what's happening now. They can't stand to see you win, but they can't look away. They try to pretend it doesn't bother them, try to act like your success doesn't matter. But you see the cracks forming. You see how their smiles don't quite reach their eyes anymore, how their voices tremble when your name is mentioned, how their bitterness seeps through every word when they speak about you. They never expected this, never thought you would go this far, reach this level, become something they can no longer ignore. And now they are the ones living in the shadow of your success. But here's the best part. You don't even have to do anything. You don't have to engage. You don't have to argue. You don't have to prove a thing. Your wins speak louder than their hate ever could. While they waste their time talking about you, you're making moves. While they sit around trying to figure out how to bring you down, you're already 10 steps ahead. And while they stay stuck in the same cycles, drowning in their own jealousy, you keep rising. Let them hate. Let them seethe. Let them waste their energy obsessing over a battle they already lost. Because your success isn't just your victory, it's their nightmare, and they have no choice but to live in it. Number 6. The ones who doubted you now beg for your attention. Funny how the same mouths that once called you a failure now speak your name with admiration. But some doors, once closed, never open again. They ignored you, acted like you were invisible, pretended you didn't matter. You weren't invited, weren't acknowledged, weren't even considered. They saw your potential, but they refused to respect it. Instead, they whispered behind your back, laughed at your dreams, called you delusional. They thought they were above you, thought they were better, more important, more deserving. But what happened? Did you fade away like they expected? Did you beg for their approval? Did you wait for them to accept you? No. You kept moving. You kept building. And now they see you standing exactly where they thought you'd never be. And suddenly, their energy has changed. Suddenly, the ones who dismissed you want to acknowledge you. The same people who counted you out are trying to count themselves in. They come with fake smiles, forced compliments, acting like they always believed in you. But you know the truth. You remember the silence when you needed support. You remember the whispers when you needed encouragement. You remember the way they laughed until the joke was on them. Look at history. This isn't new. It happens every time someone rises from the bottom. They ignored Kanye West when he was just another producer. They didn't take him seriously until he forced his way into the industry. They mocked Arnold Schwarzenegger when he said he wanted to go from bodybuilding to acting, until he became the biggest action star in the world. They laughed at Jeff Bezos when he said he was starting an online bookstore, until Amazon took over the world. First, they ignore you. Then they mock you. Then they want a seat at your table. But here's what they don't understand. You don't owe them anything. They had their chance to stand with you when you were struggling, when you were unknown, when you were still climbing. But they made their choice, and now Now they get to watch from the sidelines. Because your silence was more powerful than their words. You didn't fight for their validation. You didn't explain yourself. You didn't lower your standards to fit into their world. And that's what haunts them the most. Because you proved that you never needed them in the first place. They see your success, and suddenly they want to be part of it. They act like they were always there, like they always believed in you, like they always supported you. But where were they when you were doubting yourself? Where were they when you needed encouragement? Where were they when the world told you that you wouldn't make it? They were nowhere to be found. But now that you're winning, now that your name carries weight, now that your presence commands attention, they want in. But here's the reality. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone gets a second chance. Some doors, once closed, never open again. And some people, once they walk away, are never allowed back. Because this table, this world you built, it's not for the ones who doubted you. It's for the ones who stood with you. Let them watch. Let them regret. Let them wish they had chosen differently. They wanted to play games? Let them lose. They thought you needed them? Now they know the truth. And the truth is, you were always going to make it, with or without them. Number 7. They tried to erase you. Now you're undeniable. They thought they could write you out of history. Now they can't go a day without hearing your name. They tried everything. The silence, the isolation, the whispered lies. They spread rumors, hoping to stain your reputation. They convinced themselves that if they ignored you long enough, you would disappear. That if they erased your name from conversations, you would fade into nothing. But what happened? You didn't vanish. You didn't crumble. You didn't beg for a place at their table. Instead, you built a throne of your own. And now, they have no choice but to acknowledge what they tried so hard to deny. You are undeniable. They thought their rejection was your death sentence, that cutting you off from their circles would make you powerless. But here's what they never understood. Real power doesn't come from acceptance. It doesn't come from approval. It doesn't come from their shallow recognition. Real power comes from within. And while they were busy playing gatekeepers, trying to block you, trying to erase you, you were outgrowing every space they thought they controlled. Look at history. Every legend, every revolutionary, every game changer was met with the same resistance. They tried to erase Galileo, calling him a heretic for speaking the truth, until science proved him right. They banned and exiled Nelson Mandela, thinking they had silenced him, until he became the leader of a nation. They tried to shut down Malala Yousafzai, hoping fear would keep her quiet, until she became the voice of millions. The ones who shape the world are always the ones they try to erase. And now you're standing in that same power. They wanted to pretend you didn't exist. They wanted to convince themselves you weren't a threat. They thought if they ignored you long enough, your impact would wither away. But that's not how destiny works. That's not how chosen ones move. Because while they were trying to erase you, you were becoming something they could never contain. Every time they excluded you, you built something stronger. Every time they overlooked you, you sharpened your skills. Every time they doubted you, you became the version of yourself that they now fear the most. And now they see it. They see your name where they never wanted it to be. They hear your success in conversations they thought they controlled. They watch as the world recognizes what they tried so hard to suppress. And worst of all, they know they had no part in it. They can't claim they helped you. They can't pretend they supported you. They can't rewrite history to make themselves look better. Because the truth is, they weren't part of the story at all. That's the real reason they're angry. It's not just that you won, it's that you won without them. It's that you didn't need their validation. It's that you didn't beg for a second chance. It's that you stood alone, carved your own path, and became something far greater than they ever imagined. But let me ask you something. Does their regret matter? Does their sudden realization change anything? No, because this was never about them. Their doubt, their rejection, their attempts to erase you were never the problem. The only thing that mattered was whether you would keep going. And you did. So now, what do you do? Do you slow down? Do you soften your presence to make them comfortable? Do you let them rewrite the past and pretend they always believed in you? Absolutely not. You walk forward, head high, without a single glance back. You keep rising, keep building, keep proving, without ever needing their permission. They tried to erase you, but now they have no choice but to remember your name forever. Number 8. They can't stop watching you, even though they hate you. They said you were nothing, yet they study you like a blueprint for success. They claim they don't care. They roll their eyes when they hear your name. They pretend your success is nothing special, that you're just another person walking through life. But if that were true, why do they watch you so closely? Why do they track your every move, dissect your every word, and obsess over everything you do? They can't help it, because deep down, they know the truth. They never hated you. They envied you, and nothing eats them alive more than that. You've seen it. The way they linger in the background, acting like they aren't interested while secretly watching from the shadows. The way they pretend to ignore your wins, yet they know every detail about them. The way they tell others you don't matter, yet their actions betray their words. They were never indifferent. They were never above you. They were always invested, too invested, because you are everything they wish they could be. But here's the part that really stings them. You never asked for their attention. You never begged for their approval. You never needed them, and that alone drives them mad. Because they crave validation. They live for recognition, for applause, for acknowledgement. But you move whether they praise you or not. You rise whether they support you or not. You succeed whether they like it or not. And that is what truly haunts them. Look at history. Look at the ones who changed the game, the ones who disrupted the system, the ones who refused to bow to expectations. They all had shadows, watching, criticizing, hating, but never looking away. Michael Jordan had doubters who still bought tickets to his games. Beyoncé has critics who never miss an album drop. Elon Musk has people who call him crazy, yet refresh his Twitter every day. The ones who make an impact are never ignored. They are studied. And you are no different. So, ask yourself this. If you were truly insignificant, if you were truly irrelevant, why do they care so much? Why do they invest so much time into talking about you, analyzing you, and hoping for your failure? Because they need you. They need something to compare themselves to. They need something to measure their own lives against. And your existence, your success, your movement, it forces them to confront their own shortcomings. They don't hate you for what you do. They hate you for what you represent. You are proof that they wasted time. You are a reminder of what they could have been. You are living, breathing evidence that they played it safe while you took the risk. And instead of stepping up, instead of rising to your level, they choose the easier path, watching, resenting, obsessing. Let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them refresh your page, track your progress, copy your moves while pretending they don't care. It changes nothing. You are still rising. You are still winning. And the best part? They will never stop watching, even as they lie and say they don't. Their eyes betray them, their actions expose them, and their obsession proves one thing: you were never the problem. You were always the inspiration they were too proud to admit they needed. Number 9. They played the game, but you rewrote the rules. A king doesn't beg for a seat at a table built by cowards. He burns it down and builds a throne instead. They thought they had it all figured out. They believed they could control you the same way they controlled everyone else. They used manipulation, deception, and power plays like weapons, assuming you would be just another pawn on their board. But what they never realized is that you were never playing their game. You were building your own. While they wasted their energy trying to keep you in line, you were learning, adapting, evolving. And now, the game they thought they mastered no longer even belongs to them. They created rules designed to keep people small. They convinced the world that only those who played by their terms could win. They built systems of control, of fear, of hierarchy, thinking they had locked in their power forever. But then you came along, and instead of following the script, instead of bowing down, instead of waiting for permission, you tore the entire system apart. You didn't just refuse to play by their rules. You made their rules irrelevant. Look at history. The ones who changed everything were never the ones who followed the blueprint. Nikola Tesla didn't obey the limits of his time. He invented a future no one else could see. Muhammad Ali refused to fight on anyone else's terms. He walked his own path and made the world respect it. Steve Jobs was told he wasn't needed in the very company he built, until he came back and made it the greatest empire in technology. Every single one of them faced the same choice you faced. Stay in line and accept the game as it is, or tear the board apart and create something greater. And just like them, you made the right choice. They underestimated you because they assumed you needed their approval. They assumed you were seeking validation, but they never stopped to consider what would happen if you stopped playing altogether. And now they have to live with the consequences. Their influence is fading. Their tactics are useless. Their once unshakable grip on control is slipping right through their fingers. Because the second you stopped following their path, you proved to the world that their power was nothing but an illusion. Have you noticed how desperate they've become? How their moves are getting sloppier? How their control is unraveling? That's because they know the truth now. They know that everything they work to build is meaningless in the presence of someone who refuses to be controlled. They never saw you as a threat until you became their biggest one. They never prepared for what would happen if someone like you decided they were done playing small. And now they're scrambling, trying to keep up, trying to maintain the illusion that they still have power. But it's too late. They lost the moment you realized you never needed them in the first place. That's why they watch you so closely now. That's why they whisper your name with uncertainty instead of confidence. That's why the same people who once dismissed you are now trying to mimic your moves, copy your success, rewrite history to pretend they were always on your side. But they weren't. They bet against you. And now, they have to live with the fact that they lost before the game even began. Let them struggle. Let them sit in the wreckage of the world they built, wondering where it all went wrong. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them an apology for choosing to rise. You owe them nothing, because this isn't their game anymore. It's yours. And now you make the rules. Number 10. Your presence alone shakes their entire reality. They prayed for your absence, but now your presence is the very thing that haunts them. You don't have to speak. You don't have to announce yourself. The moment you walk in, the entire atmosphere shifts. The energy changes. Their voices drop. Their fake confidence cracks. They try to act normal, try to pretend they don't notice, but you see it. The hesitation, the unease, the way their eyes dart away like prey sensing a predator. They wanted you silent. They wanted you invisible. But now, your presence alone is louder than any words they could ever speak. They don't know how to handle it. They spent so much time convincing themselves that you were nothing, that you were weak, that you would never rise. They laughed at you when you struggled. They celebrated when they thought you were finished. But now they have to face the truth. The very person they dismissed is the one they can't escape. And that realization, it's eating them alive. Think about it. If you were truly nothing, if you were truly irrelevant, why do they react the way they do? Why do they get uncomfortable when you're around? Why do they suddenly become quieter? Why do they avoid eye contact? Why do they talk about you when you're not even there? Because deep down, they know. They know they never broke you. They know their words, their games, their attempts to bring you down did absolutely nothing. And that terrifies them. Look at history. The most powerful figures didn't need to scream for attention. Their presence alone shook the world. Muhammad Ali didn't need to prove he was the greatest. His confidence was enough to break his opponents before the fight even began. Michael Jordan didn't need to convince anyone he was the best. His presence on the court spoke louder than words. Elon Musk doesn't waste time arguing with critics. He simply builds things they said were impossible. True power doesn't beg for recognition. It commands it. And that's exactly what you do. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to fight for attention. You don't need to waste energy proving anything to people who already know the truth but are too afraid to admit it. Your energy alone is enough. Your presence alone is enough. And that's why they can't stand you. They tried to erase you, but you became impossible to ignore. They tried to silence you, but your existence speaks louder than anything they could ever say. They thought they could control the narrative, twist the story, make others see you as less than you are. But in the end, the truth has a way of making itself known. And now, no matter what they do, no matter how much they try to downplay your power, they can't change the fact that you are still here. You're still standing, and they feel it. Have you noticed it? The way they watch you from the corner of their eye. The way they suddenly want to know what you're up to, where you've been, what you're doing next. They try to act indifferent, but their curiosity exposes them. They claim they don't care, yet they track your every move. They pretend your presence doesn't affect them, yet their entire body language says otherwise. That's the power of being chosen. That's the power of walking in truth. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to engage in their games. Just keep existing, keep moving, keep rising, because nothing breaks an enemy faster than knowing they failed to stop you. Let them whisper, let them watch, let them struggle to maintain the illusion of control, because deep down they know your presence alone is too much for them to handle. Number 11. They can't fight destiny, and you were built for greatness. A fool can fight the tide, but the ocean always wins. And when the waves rise, they don't ask for permission. They drown everything in their path. They thought they could stop you, thought they could delay you, detour you, distract you. They tried to twist your mind, make you doubt yourself, convince you that you weren't strong enough, smart enough, worthy enough. They thought they could manipulate fate itself, rewrite what was already written, erase what was never theirs to control. But here's the truth. They never stood a chance. Because destiny is not something that can be stolen. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or taken away. It is something that lives in you, breathes in you, moves through you with the force of something far greater than them. They can try to fight it, try to resist, try to throw obstacles in your way, but in the end, they will always lose. Always. Look at history. Look at the ones who were doubted, dismissed, discarded, only to return more powerful than ever. They told Thomas Edison he wasn't smart enough, yet he gave the world the light bulb. They laughed at Henry Ford, saying he'd never create an affordable car, yet he revolutionized the industry. They tried to silence Martin Luther King Jr., but his words still echo through time. Destiny does not ask for approval. It does not beg to be accepted. It simply unfolds, and those who try to stand in its way are crushed beneath its weight. And that is exactly what's happening now. They thought their lies could hold you back. They thought their betrayals would break your spirit. They thought their cheap games, their petty schemes, their desperate attempts to make you question yourself would be enough. But instead, all they did was make your rise even more powerful. Every attack against you was like fuel to a fire they couldn't put out. Every setback they created only made you stronger. Every time they tried to block your path, you found a way to build another. And now they're panicking, because the future they feared is happening right before their eyes. You're stepping into everything they swore you would never have. You're rising in ways they never prepared for. They are scrambling, trying to figure out how to stop something that has already begun. But there's nothing left for them to do. They didn't just lose, they never had a chance. They can't fight destiny. They can't rewrite fate. They can't control something that was never theirs to hold. And they feel it now. They feel the shift, the weight of their own failure, the undeniable truth that no matter what they tried, you were always going to win. And you don't have to fight them. You don't have to prove anything to them. You don't have to waste another second explaining yourself to people who never had power over you in the first place. All you have to do is keep moving forward. Keep stepping into your greatness. Keep letting your success be the only response they will ever get from you. Because at the end of the day, they were never fighting you. They were fighting their own fears, their own insecurities, their own realization that they could never be what you are. And now they have to live with that. So let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them waste their breath trying to deny what is already happening. It changes nothing, because destiny does not wait, does not pause, does not hesitate. It moves with the force of a storm, the certainty of an earthquake, the power of an unstoppable wave. And you are that wave. And when you rise, they will finally understand what they were up against all along. Number 12. Now it's time to show them who you really are. A predator doesn't roar before it strikes. It watches, it waits, and then, when the moment is right, it devours everything in its path. They thought they had you figured out, thought they had measured your strength, assessed your limits, determined exactly how far you could go. They assumed you were done, that you had reached your peak, that their obstacles had been enough to keep you caged. But what they failed to realize is that you were never showing them your full power. You were holding back, calculating, waiting for the right moment. And now the time for patience is over. They don't get it yet, but they will. They thought they had seen everything you were capable of, but in reality, they've only seen glimpses. The version of you they fought, the version they doubted, the version they dismissed, was nothing compared to what's coming. And now, they are about to learn the hard way what happens when a chosen one stops waiting and starts taking. You've played their game long enough. You've been silent, patient, watching as they made their moves, as they tried to control the narrative, as they convinced themselves that they had won. But now, you're done playing. Now, you move without hesitation. Now, you step fully into your power. Now, you stop seeking approval, stop waiting for validation, stop explaining yourself to those who were never meant to understand you in the first place. Look at the greats, the ones who changed history, the ones who didn't just participate, they took over. Did Michael Jordan ask for permission to dominate basketball? No. Did Elon Musk wait for approval before revolutionizing industries? No. Did Jay-Z, who was rejected by every major record label, sit back and accept failure? No. He built his own empire. The world does not reward hesitation. It does not bow to those who wait. It moves for those who take action. And that's exactly what you're about to do. Because here's the truth. They never actually stopped you. They delayed you, distracted you, tried to convince you that you weren't ready. But they never had the power to stop what was coming. And deep down, they knew it. That's why they tried so hard to keep you small. That's why they threw every obstacle in your path. That's why they whispered lies, planted doubt, created chaos, because they saw the potential before you did, and they feared it. But now you see it too, and that changes everything. Now, you no longer shrink yourself to make them comfortable. Now, you don't wait for their approval, their acceptance, their permission. Now, you step forward, unapologetic, unstoppable, undeniable. You don't walk like you used to. You don't think like you used to. You don't even breathe like you used to. Because this is the moment you stop being who they expected you to be and become who you were always meant to be. And they feel it. You've noticed it, haven't you? The sudden shift in the air, the way their energy changes when you enter the room, the nervous glances, the fake smiles, the hushed whispers. The ones who once mocked you now scramble to befriend you. The ones who doubted you now watch your every move, hoping you won't remember how they treated you. But it's too late. You remember everything. But here's the thing, you don't seek revenge. You don't waste energy on pettiness. You don't fight battles beneath you. Your revenge is your success, your power, your dominance. Because true power doesn't scream, it simply takes. And that's exactly what you're about to do. Take what was always yours. Move with force. Command your space. Not with arrogance, but with absolute certainty. Because you know who you are now. And once you know, no one can take that from you. Let them regret underestimating you. Let them panic. Let them scramble to adjust to the reality they never thought they'd face. Because now, they don't get to talk about you. They are forced to watch you. The time for silence is over. The time for domination has begun. And the only thing left to ask is this: are you ready? And just like that, the waiting is over. The doubts, the delays, the hesitation, they no longer exist. You were never meant to blend in, never meant to seek permission, never meant to play small. They tried to stop you, but all they did was ignite something they can't contain. Now, you move forward with power, with purpose, with no limits. This is your time. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments if you're ready to rise. Share this with another chosen one, because the more we rise, the louder the universe speaks. Now go, show them who you are.